Hey, what's up, everybody? In addition to collecting comics, I also, from time to time, self-publish my own comics. So this month, Inktober is happening, uh, and I figured this is a great time to get back in practice because I've been way, way out of practice drawing. I haven't drawn like regularly in months, just doodled here and there. So there's many reasons for that. No sense in getting into it. They're just all excuses. So yeah, I'm going to get back into drawing with Inktober. But I started to talk about some of the books that I've done, which are available on my, or I should say, in my my online store, which is psychicunicornshop.com. The first one is Life in a Big City. This one is a collection of newspaper strips I did several years ago. My first published works, actually. And this is about some guys that live in the city. They're friends, Quentin and what's the guy's name? Marcus. I forgot his name. Quentin and Marcus live in the city. They're friends, and Quentin decides to run for political office. And this book collects the strips that entail that, and also has some one-shots that I did for the newspaper I was working for at the time. So that's that. The next one is Alternative City, which is what I named my comic imprint after. And it's kind of this, I don't know, I kind of had this idea of I'm a big fan of detective stories and the work of David Lynch and stuff like that. So I was trying to get something kind of trippy and cool and kind of noir-like subject matter. I never did. I was going to get this, like, my goal was to have it published in like indie weeklies, indie newspapers, but I never did. So I just collected it in this book, and it's also available at my store. Complicated Hair is not, I'm in it, but it's not about me. This is when I was working retail in an art store in Chicago. These are the people I met, fictionalized for the most part, and the customers that we served. And it is a little bit of misery and comedy and all in one. And I made 2 issues of that. There's 1 and number 2. More I probably want to do, but right now these are the only 2 that exist. And it also has a couple of one-pagers in the back of this book here of Complicated Hair number 2. Awesome 5 is like a Teen Titans type of group that I kind of thought of when I was in 5th grade, and with some changes to some of the characters, I finally published it. So, and it's I like to think it's all ages, but I was told by some people that because of certain jokes in it that it's not all ages, but it's it's also available at my store. I need to do another printing of this too. I have a new printer now when I first printed this book, and I'll do a much better job. Ninja Bunny Assassin. This is probably my most popular character, and probably my favorite as well. This is the first issue. It was just created originally just to be this stream of consciousness, violent comedy thing, if such a thing exists. And the first issue is all black and white, but just color accents of the bunny's nose and Aoki's headband. It's I had a Tumblr of this guy for a while. I think it's still up. Yeah, the Tumblr page is still up. So you can read that. There's links on my website, which is alternativecitycomics.com. That's my home website where I have samples of the books and talk more about myself. Ninja Bunny Assassin number 2, my last really published thing I did. This is right before we left Chicago, 2016. This is where we introduced Benny, which I did a one-shot mini comic with Benny in it. This is published by Comic Wellspring, which I highly recommend. These guys are awesome. They're in Michigan. I'm going to leave a link down below for them too. And these are the two mini comics I've done. Benny and Vignette. Vignette at first was a collection of samples of stories of like Ninja Bunny Assassin, Alternative City, and Awesome Fire #2 that I did for conventions, back when conventions were still a thing. Also probably back in probably 15 or 16, I made that. Benny is actually made, I want to say, last 2018, I believe it was. This was just made for the last time we did the Olympia Comics Fest. I wanted to make a mini comic, and Benny was based on the character I introduced in the Ninja Bunny Assassin #2. There's more Benny to come. I'm going to make a full-size book of Benny also. This was just made for for a quick turnaround and for the convention. But enough about that. Now I'm going to show you what I did for my Inktober, my first 2 Inktober challenge drawings of this month. I started with the 3rd and the 4th, so number 3 and number 4. The prompts were bulky and radio, and here they are. Okay, so the first prompt is bulky. I didn't really think a lot about the prompts. I kind of went with my first instincts every time. I thought it would be better if it were more spontaneous that way. So I started working in Procreate, because I like Procreate because it pound for pound, so to speak, Procreate is probably the best app out there. You pay for it once, like about $10, and you get a lot of options. But it is limiting to some degree. So I'm going to start out in Procreate, and well, this one actually, I did everything in Procreate, and it was such a struggle. I was trying to make it work. I like to ink in Clip Studio Paint if I can, but I was like, okay, I started here, now I got to stay in this program. So I did the whole thing in Procreate, and for the most part, I was doing all right. But you can see I made a lot of mistakes. I eventually just started doing an underdrawing here for the woman's face. I couldn't do it without the underdrawing, without the crutch of the underdrawing, but it came out okay. So yeah, then it's finished, and move on to the next prompt. Yeah. Okay, so the next prompt is radio. Uh, like the first prompt, I just kind of went with my first instinct, and I was just thinking desert island, guy stranded with radio. Not the most original thing, but that's all I got. Okay, I'm just getting back into this. Um, so I figured I would try this one starting out traditionally, drawing on Bristol, and I was scanning it into the iPad, or take a photo of it and put it on the iPad and use it as a use the pencils and use that awesome inking pen that they have in Clip Studio Paint. Clip Studio has the best inking brushes by far of any drawing app I've ever used, in my opinion. My only knock against Clip Studio is that for the iPad, they have a subscription plan rather than just buying it in one shot like you can with Procreate. You can buy the app for your desktop without subscription, but for some reason they have a subscription plan for the iPad. So, what are you going to do? It's a great app. That's my only beef with them. It's been a long time since I've drawn at all, and it's been a really long time since I've drawn um, using the traditional pencil and Bristol. I do love drawing on. I'm drawing on it again. I remember that I do love drawing on smooth plate Bristol, uh, which is what I'm using right here, and mechanical pencil. I'm not gonna lie, this was so hard. It's like if you haven't been to the gym in like a year, all of a sudden you start training for a marathon. It was really, really hard to crank out these drawings. Um, like halfway through, I started feeling self-conscious and thinking, what's the use? But I just have to push through. It's just like it's like a workout. It's a mental workout. You're flexing those drawing muscles you haven't used in months. With all the shame of like, oh my God, I mean, what's the point of starting back again? I've let myself down. All this inner dialogue, trying to overcome all that stuff. You just have to think that you're not the only person that's feeling this way. A lot of people do the same thing, and you just have to kind of push through it. So I think Inktober is coming along just at the right time. I really don't care how many likes I get. I don't care, what people say about what I'm doing, because I'm doing this to get myself back in the groove, so I can make my books, and once I get that together, we can move on. So now I'm almost ready to scan it in to Clip Studio Paint. Okay, so here we are in a Clip Studio now. I ended up just taking a photo with the iPad of the drawing and bringing it into my photos and opening it in Clip Studio and using it as the pencils. Now I get to use my awesome. It's called the G pen, and the G pen is just one of the brushes that comes with the app. You can get all kinds of third-party brushes from different places, and but to me, the brushes that come with are just great for inking. So the G pen has touch control. There's another couple of um, brushes. There's a line tool. There's a curved line tool. There's a lot of things. There's so many uh, arrows in the quiver of Clip Studio. It's just not even funny. It's the best drawing app. Like I said before, I can't sing its praises enough. It's the next best thing to actually using a real brush. And the cool thing about using Clip Studio is that if you make a mistake, unlike with a real brush, you don't have to worry about having to use whiteout or something like that, or messing up someone's original artwork. So there's that. Now, eventually, I'm going to use a brush called the turnip pen for the more fine lines. But right now, I'm using the G pen just to get most of the organic stuff uh, lined, inked. That is. I'm trying to hurry up and so I can get rid of this pencil layer because it's kind of dark and dingy, and it's kind of hard to see. I use kind of loose pencils when I'm going to ink myself, because I make up. I always figure I can just do the fine tuning at the inking stage. If I was penciling for someone else, I would be much more specific and more, much more of a tight pencil job, because they would not know in their minds what I was thinking if I didn't do that. But since I'm inking my own stuff, I can just get kind of sloppy with the pencils and make up for it in the inking process. So I ended up putting the guy on one layer and the background, the trees and the island and the sky and all the other stuff on another layer, just so it would be easier to erase the lines that intersect between the foreground, the guy in the foreground, and everything in the background. Now, this is kind of I apologize for being kind of a long video, but and I've sped everything up. So can you imagine how long it took? It just took, what it seemed like forever to get this done. And I was just, like I said, I was just kind of ready to give up in the middle of it, but you soldier through it. And at some point, it starts to become enjoyable, but it takes a while to get to that point. When you're in the groove, you get to that feeling almost right away as soon as you start drawing. That's how I knew that, man, I'm just so out of it, and I need to get back into it. So here I'm using the G pen and the turnip pen. Um, Using the turnip pen mostly for the small details like the coconuts, the radio, the knobs on the radio. Um, I had this idea of like, the coconuts, kind of like the professor and on Gilligan's Island, he would make batteries from coconuts. Probably totally not scientifically feasible, but what the hell? It's a cartoon, so it works. Okay, so I figured I'd try that. Now I get to the point where I can finally get rid of that gray pencil layer. And I started using the turnip pen more to fill in the small details like little arm hairs and radio cross hatching and fuzz on the coconuts and all that stuff. And then I get to use one of my favorite tools from Clip Studio Paint is the Paint Lasso, the ink lasso. You can just fill in colors and like in giant chunks if you need to. And you can use precision accuracy to do so. Procreate has something like that now. It's new in the new version of Procreate, but this is mostly here. I'm wrapping up with the turnip pen and a little bit of cross hatching. The last part, I'm going to fill in the water. I just want to have some. I try to keep it pretty simple for Inktober. I don't use any colors. I don't use any other trick brushes I normally would use in my cartooning. So I'm kind of limiting myself. But yeah, I'm just. It looks maybe a little light in values in some places, but I think it works. So yeah, this is the second one, and it's finished. So now just save it as a JPEG, or sometimes I do it as a PNG and post it to the gram, and we're all set. Well, that's it for this draw along video. Um, Let me know if you guys out there are participating in Inktober this year or have in the past, or if you ever gone through any dry spells or writer's block periods where you just couldn't draw. Let me know in the comments. Um, Forget to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll be seeing you in my next video. Thanks for watching. Hey, don't forget to subscribe and leave a thumbs up.